It's salt air. And yeah, season. I never wanted anything more. It slipped away like a bottle of wine. Yes, okay. I don't want to annoy you guys with my singing. But I don't know if you could say that this is based solely on its cover, because it's really not. No, doesn't fit that prompt. Hi everyone, it's me, Jess. I'm on vacation. I am having a fantastic time. I'm visiting with an old friend of mine, and I've been to the beach today, so I might be a bit red. So I wanted to come on and talk about my August TBR despite being on vacation because, well, it's August. I'm here to talk about books that I'm hoping to read in August, and I'm also making an announcement, I guess, So I'm also floating the idea of having another read-along on my channel because I think some people have wanted to participate and for one reason or another may have missed out on the opportunities to read books with me and other people who watch my channel. So I am going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to respond to the Booker Longlist, which I haven't had a chance to respond to yet. I'm going to talk about Women in Translation Month, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some books that I hope to read at the beach that are a little bit less, I mean, they're really not less serious. I can't go full on with Garbaugust because, yeah, they're still kind of literary in a certain way, but I'll talk about some of the books that for Garbaugust light. I'm also going to talk about the books that made it to the BookTube Prize finals because I've volunteered to judge the final round of the BookTube Prize, which is very exciting. In fact, when I talk about the books that I judged and ranked for the BookTube Prize for the semifinals, there are 3 that I'm not going to be able to talk about because they've of course moved on to the final round. But I'll get to that in just a minute. First, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Booker and if I'm going to be reading anything this month from the Booker and what are the books that have made it onto the Booker long list that I'm interested in reading, and of course the ones that I can get a hold of. So where I am, I'm able to get access to quite a few of the books. I know that that's a little bit of a problem for people in the UK. And in case anyone doesn't know the books that have been listed on the long list, there are 13 books that have been listed. I'll just go through the titles really quickly. I'm not going to put up the book because I want to get this video out without doing too much editing. But we have Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange, an Indigenous author. This is a prequel or sequel to another book. I haven't read anything by Tommy Orange. Wild Houses by Colin Barrett. This is an Irish author and it's, I think, a debut novel. Held by Ann Michaels, which is one of the Canadian books on the list. Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. I actually read The Flamethrowers way back when and quite enjoyed it. So this is one of the books that I'm most excited about getting my hands on. This Strange Eventful History by Claire Massoud. Playground by Richard Powers, which everyone is very annoyed about because it's not coming out. It's not being released until, I don't know, December or something. I'm not sure. No, I think it has to be released before the cutoff date for the Booker, but I'm not sure what the release date is. They might push it up. We shall see. Maybe they already have at this point. I don't know. I'm on vacation. Enlightenment by Sarah Perry. I don't know anything about Sarah Perry. Orbital, which I ironically took out of the library and then returned to the library, by Samantha Harvey. James by Percival Everett, which I have read and reviewed on this channel. Recent reads video that I just uploaded. I talked about reading James and how much I enjoyed it. Thank goodness James is on the list, right? Because I think people would have been rioting in the street. The Safe Keep, which I've been hearing very, very good things about. My Friends, which is one of the ones that I predicted. So in the end, I predicted 2 correctly. James and My Friends, and none of the other ones. It is very difficult to predict for the Booker long list. Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood, which I believe is Australian. I've heard that this is a lot like Study for Obedience, so let me know in the comments below if you've heard the same or if you've read it or if you know this author. And then Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle, which I've been hearing really good things about. So in terms of the ones that I'm able to get from my local library and quite quickly, which are coming to me like immediately, which I'm really excited about. The first one is Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. I was also able to get a copy of The Safe Keep, which should be coming in right away, and Enlightenment by Sarah Perry. Oh, and also this Strange Eventful History. They weren't out of my libraries in Montreal, so I'm really excited I can get all three of those from the library right away. Am I going to read them in August? I think it's very safe to say that Creation Lake is where I would like to start, because I really enjoyed The Flamethrowers, which was Rachel Kushner's earlier book, or the one that I guess she's really known for. So just the description of Creation Lake that is on the Penguin Random House website reads, Sadie Smith, a 34-year-old American undercover agent of ruthless tactics and bold opinions, this sounds good already, is sent by her mysterious but powerful employers to a remote corner of France. Her mission to infiltrate a commune of radical eco-activists influenced by the beliefs of an enigmatic elder, Bruno Lacombe, who has rejected civilization, lives in a Neanderthal cave, and believes the path to enlightenment is a return to primitivism. This sounds really good. I'm excited to read this, and I'm excited that it's available at my library. Sadie casts her cynical eye over this region of ancient farms and sleepy villages and finds Bruno's idealism laughable. But just as she is certain she's the seductress and puppet master of those she surveils, Bruno Lacombe is seducing her with his ingenious counter-histories, his artful laments, his own tragic story. Yeah, this sounds fantastic. Very excited for that. I'm also excited to read the Claire Massoud book. I don't know, I've been hearing rumors that it's not that good, but it's a saga. It's like a family saga. It's historical. I think it will be really interesting. I really want to read Wild Houses, but there's already somebody else that has it out, so I'll have to wait for that to come in. And I know that Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot was singing the praises of The Safe Keep, so I think The Safe Keep will be another one that I might try to get to in August. It's set just after the war in 1961 in a province in the Netherlands. The main character is Isabella, who is living alone in her late mother's country home, and the blurb says she knows her life is as it should be, led by routine and discipline. But all is upended when her brother Louis brings his graceless new girlfriend Eva, leaving her at Isabella's doorstep as a guest to stay for the season. And apparently they're opposites in terms of their habits and their behavior. So that's kind of the setup of the beginning of the book. And then Isabella becomes very suspicious of this other woman because things start disappearing around the house. This is just from the blurb that is available to me. It sounds good. Scott's endorsed it, and I think I'm going to give it a try as well. Really looking at 2 books from the Booker Prize list. I'm not probably going to be able to read everything on the long list because I have other books that I would like to read. In terms of my reaction, as I said, I'm very happy that James is on the long list. The Booker is still a little bit of a mystery to me. I haven't been participating in BookTube long enough to be doing lots of predictions and having lots of insight into what the Booker Prize is really looking for. But I think it's an interesting enough list. I don't have a big problem with it. I think it's possible that maybe people would be disappointed, for example, that Praiseworthy is not on the list, which is one of the books that I had predicted would be on. It seems like there are maybe more commercial books on this list than I would have expected from the Booker, but I'm not super familiar with all of the books and all of the authors, so I really can't say for sure. I'm happy to see an Indigenous author on the list. I think that that's really good. I hope James wins because I think that James is kind of in a league of its own. So those are my thoughts really on the Booker. If you want to watch my predictions video and have a really good laugh, I will leave it linked in the description box below. So now I would just want to shift and talk a little bit about the BookTube Prize because I am going to be judging the final round for the BookTube Prize, which I'm really happy about because the books that have been chosen for the final round of the BookTube Prize are all books that I have already read, some of which I have enjoyed immensely. So the fiction finalists for the BookTube Prize are 3 that went through from the semifinal round that I just read. Wellness by Nathan Hill, Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and Enter Ghost by Isabella Hammad. I really can't talk about those because they've gone on to the finals, so I won't talk about those at all. Because I'll wait until we do the judging for the final round. And the other 3 that went through from the other group, Group A, which I didn't judge for the semifinals, are NorthWoods, which I read at the beginning of this year. I think I'm allowed to say that I really enjoyed it because frankly, I've already reviewed it. The Bee Sting, which I read last year, which I already talked about and reviewed, and the Rachel incident, which I also already reviewed. So the deal is that if you've already reviewed those books on your channel, then there's really not a problem in terms of what you already said about those books. So I will leave links to those reviews in the description box below, but I think I will probably revisit at least The Beasting, because I read The Beasting last year and I feel like I'd like to revisit it for this final judging round, just to see if it holds up against the other 5 books. It's going to be I think it's going to be a tough decision, because this is really the cream of the crop. Just briefly, Enter Ghost is about a woman who, so her sister is a professor at the University of Haifa. She returns to Palestine to perform a production of Hamlet. NorthWoods is about not necessarily a main character, but a place, a house that's in New England, and we watch the various inhabitants of the house and learn about their stories as we go through different generations of people who are living in the house. It was a really, I thought, really well-crafted book. Beasting is about a family in Ireland, and it's about the different characters in the family, the mother, the father, the younger son, and the daughter who's going off to university. And it's about their lives and about how they live quite separate lives and have quite separate experience despite the fact that they're a family. It's been talked about so much on YouTube. I'd be surprised if you're watching my channel and you don't know anything about The Beasting. The Rachel incident is another Irish author, Sarah O'Donoghue, and it's about a woman who is trying, she's in her early professional life and she's trying to make it in the world and her job, and she's trying not to mess it up, and she has a best friend. They have a very nice relationship, and then she gets involved with a professor, and it's a little bit about what it's like to be in your 20s and just entering into your professional life. Palm Lake by Ann Patchett is about a family who comes together during the pandemic to the family cherry orchard in Michigan. The kids really question their mother about her past, about her life as an actor at a summer theater, and her relationship with a very famous actor, and that story really gets told through the process of this, through the process of them being quarantined on this cherry farm. So it's really about her past life as an actor in a summer theater. Hello, it's Editing Jess. I just realized that I did not talk about wellness when I was talking about the BookTube Prize finalists. So just briefly, Wellness is quite a chunky book about a marriage. Jack and Elizabeth, who've been married for a very long time, who are rediscovering themselves and looking back on their pasts and considering their marriage. And so yes, Wellness, a story about modern life and about what happens when you're years into a relationship. And it's interesting because they reflect, they look back on their childhoods, and we hear the stories of each of them as individuals. So that's Wellness, which I had forgotten. So sorry about that. So those books, I've read them all, like I said, and I'll probably reread The Beasting. I might not reread it in August. I might wait and reread it a little closer to the point where we've got to get our rankings in. I'll talk about the other books that I read in Group B for the semifinals, and I'll talk a little bit about where I ranked them. And I can talk about where I ranked the books that I had in my grouping. I just don't think I can really talk about the books. I'm a little unsure. I'll do my best not to break any rules. That's an update on the BookTube Prize. Then other books that I'm reading for August. I'm really focusing on women in translation. Those of you who watch my channel will know that I just made a video about options for Women in Translation Month. The lovely Charlotte Malloy has made a readathon focusing on women in translation. And I did take a look at some of the prompts, and I'm going to take a look at them again with you now and talk about some of the books that I hope to get to and some that I've already started. So I'll leave the video linked to Charlotte Malloy's announcement about her reading challenge for Women in Translation Month. She has some really interesting prompts there. Not all of the books that I am interested in reading in translation fit. It's almost like all of them fit into one or two of the prompts. I can't spread them out over all 12 prompts. The first one I'm reading for sure is Elena Knows. I'm reading this as a buddy read with my friend Lori. and I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard really nothing but good things about it. It's about a woman who is investigating the investigation of her daughter's death when her daughter Rita's body was found hanging in the belfry of the church. So yeah, this doesn't really fit into any of the prompts except for a prompt being a book or an author from a country that you've never visited before. Claudia Pinheiro is a Brazilian author, and I've never been to Brazil, so it fits for that prompt. So does this book, which is Fish Swimming in Dappled Sunlight. I'm actually a good chunk of the way through this book, a very quick read. It's very good. It's about a couple who go on a hike and their guide is mysteriously dies, and they each suspect, the one suspects the other. So it's about their confrontation with each other about who maybe killed the guide, and so they're questioning each other. It's very good so far, very suspenseful. There's already been a big twist, a big reveal. Riku Onda is a Japanese writer. I've read another book of hers called The Owasawa Murders, which I really liked. It's a bit of a slow build in the way that this author writes, but I'm obviously enjoying it because I'm reading it pretty quickly. It's not magical realism. I guess this is the second book that I'll be reading that is from a country that I've never visited before. I'm just going to be reading 3 or 4 books from that one prompt, Charlotte. That's the way it's going to go. Actually, that's not true. I just started Kairos today, and Kairos fits the prompt Victoria, which is to read a prize-winning novel. And of course, Kairos just won the International Booker Prize this year by Jenny Erpenbach. I just started it. It's engrossing. It's sucking me in right away. It's about a young woman who has a relationship with an older man, and it's, well, Claire Massoud calls it an intimate account of an obsessive transgressive passion. So the relationship between Katharina and Hans, the younger woman and the older man, begins in East Berlin at the end of the 1980s. It takes its passionate, difficult course through the world of the socialist GDR, and the world of the socialist GDR collapses around them. So far, it's amazing. I really love this cover too. I've been enjoying reading this at the beach today. The next 2 are very short little books, so I'm hoping to get to them and finish them. I've already started this one. I think this would fit for the prompt, The Time Machine, classic novel written in a different era, and that is Clarice Lispector's The Hour of the Star. I was introduced to Clarice Lispector through somebody in the comments on one of my videos, and I've already started reading this, and it's excellent. It's so good. I actually had to go out and buy little flags, cute little doggy flags. Look at them. Had to go out and buy these cute little doggy flags so that I could actually start marking up the pages because this is so good, and it's quite thin. But her final novella, I think it's more of a novella. It's about a man who is telling the story of a young woman. The young woman is very poor. I read out a pretty good description when I did my video for what to read for women in translation, but just briefly, narrated by the cosmopolitan Rodrigo S.M., who tells the story of Macabea, one of life's unfortunates living in the slums of Rio and eking out a poor living as a typist. I think there's a lot of interplay in terms of the narrator and how he presents the character and how the character is written and the character herself. So far, I'm already engrossed in it. And then the last one that I really want to read, and actually comments on my video about options for Women in Translation Month have pushed me. Thank you, everyone. You all have convinced me to go ahead and read Minor Detail. And even though I know that it's going to be tough, I think it's really important, and I think it's going to be really moving, and I think it's very timely, and I'm trying to see what prompt does it fit with. There should be a prompt for one that's recommended by a friend. No, it's not my readathon. I know I don't need to come up with the prompt. It's not a magical realism book, that's for sure. I actually cannot figure out what prompt Minor Detail fits into, but maybe if you're checking out the prompts for Women in Translation Month, please let me know what prompt it fits into, because I can't figure that one out. Or Charlotte, if you're watching, help me out. I can't figure it out, but I'm still going to read it. So that's my little stack for Women in Translation month. I'm very happy with this little stack. I had a lot of options to choose from, as you all know, but those ones are the ones that have made the cut, so to speak. Oh, and also, of course, my college reading vlog, The Boarding School Girl, which I'm almost finished this one, but I'm going to include it for Women in Translation Month because it's a classic. It would fall under the time machine, a classic written in a different era. I feel like the cover, there is a prompt that says, curb appeal, that is, it says a book based solely on its cover, and this cover is a group of girls in a boarding school, and the title is The Boarding School Girl, and I feel like that captures quite well some of what the book is about. The majority of what the book is about is this main character, Lenka, who is in a school, and it really is, it's a book that wants to have a conversation about women's education and how women were educated at that particular time. So it can fit for Time Machine or it can fit for Curb Appeal. And then the last group of books that I want to talk about for, well, I actually don't know what book was chosen for my book club. Why don't we check together and see what they chose? Because I couldn't attend book club because I was driving to this destination. Kind of excited to see what they chose. Okay, so my book, oh my gosh, my book club has chosen Prophet Song by Paul Lynch, which honestly, I feel like they chose that because I was there. I'm not sure if I'm going to read Prophet Song. I might. I kind of have to because it's my book club. Prophet Song is, of course, the book that won the Booker Prize last year. I don't know too much about it. I would be going in pretty blind, but I guess I'm adding it to my TBR for August because that's my book club pick. Let's see, what does it say about the Prophet Song? I know a lot of people really wanted to read this, and I did not, so I wasn't there to be able to shift the conversation. Oh well, that's fine. I'm happy to read it. So The Prophet Song is a 2023 dystopian novel by Irish author Paul Lynch. The novel depicts the struggles of the Stack family, in particular Eilish Stack, a mother of four who is trying to save her family as the Republic of Ireland slips into totalitarianism. I'm sure it's going to be good. So I'll be reading The Prophet Song. And then we have this event on BookTube in August called Garbaugust. And I guess I'm doing kind of a Garbaugust light because I'm not reading really trashy books and I'm not necessarily following any of the prompts. I will leave links to the Garbaugust videos. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of posts. It's a really fun readathon. And I might, while I'm here, try to see if I can find any trashy books. But I have a pretty big pile of books that I want to read in August, so I'm not sure I'm going to get there. In terms of the books that I want to read that kind of fall into the category of light, trashy, and one that I'm definitely going to read, and I think there is a prompt about a green cover in Garbaugust. I'm going to be reading definitely The Guest by Emma Cline. I don't know if it's trashy. I had read The Girls by Emma Cline, which was kind of based on the whole Charles Manson cult, so I don't know if that qualifies as being trashy enough for Garbaugust, but this one I'm really excited to read because it takes place in the summer right before Labor Day. It's set in Long Island and it's about a young girl named Alex who is kind of drifting around Long Island, and I guess things begin to happen. I think it's going to be really good as a summer read. I would love to get to Monsters. This is Monsters by Claire Dederer. I guess it's kind of like the cover is really makes me think of Garbaugust, and it's about fans being obsessed with people who are basically geniuses but horrible people. So I think that that could really qualify. Those two are very high up on my list, and I'm putting them in the Garbaugust light category. I also just really think that this is such a Garbaugust cover, Mothering, and I don't know if it fits any of the prompts, and I don't know all that much about it. It just says on the back, I see it now, the contours of a plan, a perfect food, or rather a meal perfectly executed, which will revive the long buried instinct in Ralph to be alive despite the shock of it, to stay alive despite the pain of it, a food, a flavor, offered once by his mothering to make suddenly being alive all right. I can revive that instinct, I can replicate that flavor, I just have to grab a few things first. I don't know, it's got a very Garbaugust-y kind of cover. It sounds intriguing. Let me know if you've read Mothering. It's one that I just really want to get to. And then I wanted to mention that I had put a poll up on my community post suggesting a new read-along. I talked about it at the beginning of the video. My suggestion is that we do a read-along for a Wilkie Collins book. When I did my classics TBR for 2024, the book that I had chosen was The Moonstone. And that is kind of my preference, is to read The Moonstone. But a lot of people answered as a comment to that poll that they were interested in doing a read-along and that they had The Woman in White and that it was on their TBR. So I'm also open to reading The Woman in White. What I plan to do is just accumulate the comments either on this video or on that post, and also put up another community post with an actual poll choosing The Woman in White or The Moonstone. We will pick one of them and we will read it together beginning middle of August going until the end of September. I'm very excited to be hosting another read along on my channel. The last two that I did just recently, reading East of Eden and reading Invisible Man, were wonderful experiences. So if you're interested, let me know in the comment section below and look out for that poll. Okay, those are the books that I'm planning to try to get to for August. It's quite a lot of stuff. We'll see how much I actually get read. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now. Stick to my promised upload of my, what is going on here? What is going on? Did I make it worse? Did I make my hair worse? I really need to cut the bangs, cut the old bangs. What's the word when you're put in quarantine? Yes, actually here in Canada, we are able to get here, actually, well, I'm not in Canada right now, but here where I am able to get access to quite a few of the books read by other. They weren't even out of the library. They were already in a location, and I've requested them, and I'm hoping to pick them up when I get back next week. Which was Rachel. I really enjoyed the Flame. I really enjoyed The Flame, which is the final book on the BookTube Prize Finals group, which is the last book in the BookTube Prize, which is the last book, which is the